People always ask me why I got into witchcraft. The truth? I wanted control. As a child, I was powerless, abused, silenced, ignored. So as an adult, I searched for anything that made me feel seen. The crystals, the rituals, the candles. They gave me a sense of authority over my chaos. I called on spirits. I memorized chants. I performed blood spells. And for a while, it felt like it worked. I could manipulate lovers, money, even emotions. I felt invincible. By the time I was 38, I had a private client list, I led a coven, and I even performed rituals on Halloween night for people who paid thousands to awaken their hidden energy. That night, October 31st, 2024 was supposed to be my most powerful ritual yet. I fasted. I lit the black candles. I drew the sigils. I even drank the sacred tea that was meant to open portals. Instead, it opened something else. I remember chanting and feeling a surge of energy I'd never felt before, stronger, heavier, darker. My body began to tremble, my chest tightened, my breath became shallow, my hands went cold. I collapsed. Then everything went black. I thought I'd be floating in the astral plane. That's what I was taught. But I wasn't floating. I was falling fast and hard into something that felt like it hated me. The temperature dropped. I heard whispers at first, then growls, and then laughter. Not human laughter, something deeper, ancient, and cruel. I tried to call out the names of the deities I worshipped: Hecate, Lilith, the Moon Mother, but nothing responded. Nothing came. That's when I felt it. Hands. Cold, sharp, clawed hands grabbing my spirit and dragging me downward. I screamed, but my voice didn't echo. I was in a place where screams were swallowed. And then, I saw them. The demons I used to think I controlled. Now they were the ones controlling me. This wasn't power. This was hell. And I had walked right into it. The hands that grabbed me didn't feel like metaphor. They felt real bone-crushing, burning, acidic. I was being yanked downward through layers of shadow and shrieking. These weren't just images. This wasn't just a hallucination. It was real, more real than anything I'd ever felt in the material world. And then I saw their faces, twisted, mocking. Some looked like animals, others like humans who had been melted and remade into monsters. I recognized one of them, not from Earth, but from ritual and entity I had once welcomed. I had drawn its sigil, offered it gifts, even called it my protector. And now, it smiled at me like a hunter smiles at prey. I screamed, "Why? I served you." And one of Themit's mouth slit from ear to ear, leaned in close and hissed, "You served yourself. We just used you. And now, you're ours." They began tearing at my soul, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. I felt regret pour out of me like blood. I remembered all the people I led into the same darkness. The girls I mentored, the spells I cast for revenge, the love rituals that enslaved men. I thought I was healing others, but in reality, I was just recruiting them into the pit that now consumed me. My body back on Earth was lifeless, lying in a circle of candles and incense. But I, the real May, was screaming in a realm I had always denied existed. I had mocked Christians. I had laughed at the cross. I had called Jesus a myth. But in that moment, surrounded by 1,000 snarling spirits, I knew what I had really done. I had rejected the only one who could have saved me. And then I heard something. At first, it was faint, like the memory of a song from childhood, a vibration in the air. The demons heard it too, and for the first time, they looked afraid. One of them snarled, "No, not him." And then it happened. A single beam of light, blinding, furious, and pure, cut through the blackness like a sword. And standing in it was a man I had never spoken to in life, but whose name now echoed through every fiber of my dying soul. Jesus. The moment Jesus appeared, the entire atmosphere shifted. It wasn't gradual. It was immediate, like darkness had been evicted. The shrieks of the demons turned to wails of rage and terror. They began to scatter, crawling into cracks of blackness like rats fleeing fire. And the fire was him. He didn't say a word, not at first. He didn't need to. His presence spoke louder than any command I had ever issued in ritual. His robe glowed like lightning, trapped in fabric. His eyes, I can't even explain his eyes. They didn't just look at me. They searched me, from the depths of my shame to the faintest flicker of hope buried in my soul. I collapsed. Not just out of fear, but because everything inside me broke. I wasn't a priestess. I wasn't powerful. I wasn't divine. I was filthy. Spiritually soaked in the very things I thought had empowered me. He looked at me, no hate, no mockery, no smugness, only sorrow, a sorrow that felt ancient. As if he had been watching me all along. As if he had seen every spell, every lie, every time I said, "I don't believe in you." And then, in the gentlest voice I've ever heard, he said, "I never stopped believing in you." I started sobbing, not the kind of crying that happens when you're sad, but the kind that happens when every lie is pulled from your chest and replaced with truth. It was painful, cleansing, terrifying, beautiful. I said, I didn't know it was real. I didn't know you were real." And he answered, "But I did, and I came anyway." He reached out his hand, and when he touched me, the fire from his presence didn't burn and might burned through me. Everything unclean, everything I had clung to, all of it disintegrated in an instant. Behind me, the demons screamed in agony. They hated him. Not because he was cruel, but because he was holy, and his love was something they could never possess. I looked up at him and asked, "Why would you come for someone like me?" He knelt beside me, God in glory, kneeling beside a witch, and said, "Because I still call you daughter." And in that moment, I believed. As Jesus knelt beside me, the darkness around us began to retreat. But I knew this moment wasn't just about rescue, it was about a choice. I felt him gently lift me up, and I was shown two paths. One led back to the shadows I had lived in, full of pain and destruction, and the other led to a light so bright it scared me a chance at true freedom and healing. He looked deep into my soul and said, "You must choose, child. You can stay in the light, but it will mean surrender. It will mean leaving behind the power you once knew, facing the pain you hid from, and embracing a love you never imagined possible." Tears streamed down my face as I realized this wasn't just about life or death, it was about who I wanted to be. I thought of all the times I hurt others and myself, the lies I told to hide the emptiness inside. "I'm scared," I whispered, but his hand never left mine. "Will you be with me if I go back?" With a smile full of mercy, he said, "I will never leave you. You are never alone." And with that, I made my choice. I asked him to send me back to give me a second chance to live differently, to love differently, and to share the truth I had seen. Then, the light wrapped around me like a blanket, and I felt myself falling not into darkness, but back into the life I had once known, forever changed. I woke up gasping for air, my chest burning and my throat raw. The hospital lights were bright, faces full of urgency surrounded me, but I barely noticed. Inside, I felt a fire I'd never known, a flame of hope and fear tangled together. The darkness I'd lived in had been peeled away, replaced by a strange, powerful presence that stayed with me. I couldn't stop trembling. The memories of what I saw, the demons, the light, Jesus kneeling beside me, flooded my mind like a storm. And I knew deep down that my life could never be the same. The nurses said I was lucky to be alive, but I knew the truth: I had been saved. In the days that followed, I struggled with the world I had left behind. The coven, the rituals, the lies, they all pulled at me, but I fought harder. Every time I felt the old darkness creeping back, I reached for that light inside me, that love I never thought I deserved. And then, I knew what I had to do. I had to tell my story not as a warning, but as a lifeline. To show others trapped in darkness that there is a way out. That mercy is real. That Jesus is waiting, even for those who think they're too far gone. This is my mission now, and I will never turn back. Once I was strong enough, I faced my past head on. I confessed everything, the witchcraft, the pain, the lies, and the truth of what I saw after death. I reached out to the people I had led astray, the friends I had lost, and the strangers trapped in shadows like I once was. Many rejected me, called me a liar or a traitor, but others listened. They saw hope where there was once only despair. My story began to spread, not as a tale of shame, but as a testimony of redemption. I found a small church and fell to my knees, not as a witch, but as a forgiven daughter. I began the slow, painful journey of healing, breaking old chains, and building new life on the foundation of grace. Every day, I feel the light of Jesus in me stronger than any spell, any darkness, and I share it with anyone willing to listen. Because if he can save me, he can save anyone. The road to healing hasn't been easy. Old friends turned their backs, and some tried to pull me back into the shadows. The guilt and shame sometimes claw at me like the demons I once knew. But each time I fall, I remember his promise he will never leave me. I now speak openly about my journey, warning others of the dangers I faced, but more importantly, telling them about the love I found. I visit recovery centers, churches, and groups who feel lost and broken, sharing my story as proof that no one is beyond redemption. Jesus didn't just save me from death. He gave me a purpose. And every day, I fight to live that purpose. Today, I live differently. The darkness no longer defines me. I'm rebuilding my life on the foundation of the mercy I was shown. I'm baptized, surrounded by a community that loves me, and committed to walking the path of light. My past still echoes, but it no longer controls me. Instead, I use my story to reach those trapped in the same chains, those who think they are too far gone, too broken, too lost. If you're watching this, know this. No matter how deep the darkness, there is a light waiting for you. Jesus is real, he is loving, and he is calling you home. This is why I was sent back to tell you that you are worth saving.